Okay, so for our next session, I am so excited to sit down with Liz Bushnell, Executive Director of the Questa Foundation, and Laura Macknick, President and CEO of the Don Wood Foundation. Please join me in welcoming them here today. Thank you both for all of the important work you do in our community. Let's start with big picture. Tell us about the missions of the Don Wood and Questa Foundations and how your work aligns.
Great. Well, thanks for having us here today, Ellen. Questa Education Foundation is focused on helping individuals in our community access post-secondary education, graduate with as little debt as possible, and come back to our community to be part of our talent pool and part of our workforce. Really simply put, what we do is provide funding for students, we help them afford their education, and then we have incentives for them to come back and live and work in Northeast Indiana. And 82% of our graduates are living and working here, so we're really proud of the results that we get. And it's been such an amazing fit to be partners with the Don Wood Foundation and focus on this project together, directly focused on educational attainment and talent development.
Love that, 82%. That's incredible.
Yes, and can you hear me all right?
Why don't we share? Here we go.
Good afternoon, I'm Laura Macknick. Might be a little bit better if you get a microphone along with it. I'm with the Don Wood Foundation, and we're so pleased with our partnership alongside of Questa Education Foundation because the Don Wood Foundation seeks to advance manufacturing, entrepreneurial mindset, and leadership development for students and adult learners across Northeast Indiana. So our work in terms of wanting to see those industries thrive and see more talent development, be successful in landing in those opportunities is very complementary to the work of Questa and their outreach to scholars.
So in 2024, we hired a professional polling firm to survey our Allen County business community. And despite our position as being one of the fastest growing communities in the Midwest, it's not a surprise that the number one challenge that remains in our business community is finding qualified workers. So Don Wood Foundation and Questa Foundations have teamed up to drill down deeper into this dynamic with kind of a next step comprehensive research initiative. Liz, can you tell me about this and what the research has revealed?
Definitely. So we actually started this research work a little over 2 years ago, and it was really focused on exactly what you were describing, Ellen. What are the talent needs that we have in Northeast Indiana? Who are we graduating to meet those needs? And do we have the population and the professionals that can help us to grow and thrive in our region? And what we found is some exciting news is that we're growing. We are expected to add at least 5,600 high demand, high wage jobs in our region in just the next couple of years. But one of the challenges is all of those jobs will require post-secondary education and training. And we do not, when we look at the graduates, we do not have enough graduates in our community to meet those needs. And so it's at all kinds of different education levels. It's certificates, it's associate's degrees, bachelor's degrees, graduate and professional, certifications. When we talk about post-secondary, we're talking about all types of education and training after high school. And as we looked at the data and compared job needs to graduates, just one example for bachelor's degree candidates, we could be as many as 8,000 people short of what we need in the next couple of years to meet that talent demand. So our partnership has been focused on not only understanding those needs, but then what are the challenges that are holding students back? Because at the same time, demand for educational attainment is increasing, college going rates and enrollment in training opportunities is declining. So we were looking at what's preventing students from achieving that education. There's a lot to it, but one of the big answers is cost. That's a really significant barrier for so many people in our community. It's also about finding resources. There are great scholarships and financial aid, and students don't always find those. And some of it's misperception of not understanding the value of post-secondary education or what that means. So there was some really significant findings from the study, but great guidance for what could we do about it as a community.
Okay, so one of the outcomes of this has been CAPET, Coalition for Advancing Post-Secondary Education and Training, CAPET, CAPET. It's a really big step forward for Allen County and really all of Northeast Indiana. Can you walk us through the purpose of CAPET and how it will help to bridge that gap between education providers and employers?
Certainly. And so, as Liz suggested, when we did this research around trying to understand the landscape of post-secondary education and training, we realized that it's not necessarily a binary choice between trades or degree work or degree completion. So that's one important thing to kind of make sure that we highlight, is that we're not saying it's all college or all trades. We don't see it as a binary choice. It can be an and proposition instead of an or proposition. But to your question, Ellen, about KPET, when we sat down, we convened regional scholarship providers about a year and a half ago, and we realized there were a lot of funds going underutilized. And when Liz and I had lunch and put our heads together, we said, I think there's something really much bigger here that needs to be explored. And from that, the Coalition for Advancing Post-Secondary Education and Training, or KPET, emerged from that. It's important to talk a little bit about how we've built that coalition. In fall of last year, we were very blessed to have about 300 community leaders come together and say, yes, we too also care about this challenge around talent development. And from there, we announced the development of working groups. And there are 3 working groups, one that focuses on a resource hub, one that looks at adult learners and the needs of those learners specifically, and a third that looks at traditional high school education population. And so those 3 working groups have been hard at work since last fall, and there is more to come, I think, in a minute in terms of announcements around KPET. But ultimately, those working groups were charged with building actionable strategies that we could bring back to the community and say, hey, this is something we can actually complete. This is something we can actually attain. And that's what the working groups have been working on thus far.
So we have about 500 community leaders in the room today. This is a really big and exciting effort that your foundations are moving forward. What is something that everyone here can do to get involved in this work? Let's start with employers. Liz, can you provide an example about how businesses can engage in the KPET work?
I can, and obviously employers are such an important part of this work. It's all about talent development and what do we need in our community to help our businesses grow and to thrive and to attract new businesses to the region. And I have to say, employers already do tremendous work in attracting and developing talent. And so we're really fortunate. One of the things we found in the research was that 60 to 70% of employers in our region provide education benefits to help upskill their employees, which is phenomenal. That's a fantastic resource to have. One of the challenges is less than 5% of employees actually take advantage of those benefits. And so while we have some great resources and work happening, and other examples like in-house training and employers who are working with colleges and universities to create innovative education programs that bring education to their workforce, Questa partners with a number of employers to help invest in students that they ultimately want to hire. So there's really cool things happening, and I think what we need now is how do we add and expand to that? So for example, those education benefits, are there ways to redesign some of those opportunities to get more individuals to take advantage of that opportunity? Can employers help us with messaging and showcasing the ways that education and training helps you to advance within the company? Employers do fantastic work hosting students with work-based learning and internships, and being able to expand that and introduce more people to the opportunities within organizations is one of those steps. I'd say first and foremost is if people aren't already a part of the coalition, to join and to be part of this effort. I think helping us with solution building and implementing those ideas and helping develop the talent that you need in your companies is going to be part of the solution.
Well, and it's an ever-changing environment, right? Because new technologies come online for businesses, things change, new degree programs, and so really, if businesses haven't been involved, they may have new opportunities or new needs to kind of jump on the train. And so really just forming those long-term partnerships is really vital. Let's shift to educators. Okay, so Laura, educators including at the high school level, colleges and universities, obviously are key partners in the KPET initiative. How can educators partner really at a time of great change within their industry while still ensuring that they're focused on student success?
Well, I think you just highlighted it, Ellen, and that is the focus on student success. When we talk about the work of KPED and all of these all around this initiative, the student is at the center, the locus of that, and understanding that, that there's the 30,000-foot conversation that happens from an economic development perspective. We talk about the high demand, high wage jobs. But there's also the ability for educators to interact and work very directly with those individual students and to have those conversations with students around what is it that you enjoy doing or that you feel that you excel at doing, and helping, with those career coaching types of conversations. We know that through some of our research that the ratio of students to guidance counselors is an astonishing number. It's 1 in 600 or 700. I don't have the precise statistic, but it's really quite significant in terms of there's a lot of students that aren't having these types of conversations. So that's one way that educators during a time of great change can be part of that, is really focusing on the student at the core of that.
Okay, so we've hit on businesses and educators. What about the rest of us in the room? That what can any person in this community do to be part of this effort?
One example I'll give is we were talking about messaging, and that's really important. One of the things we found is that there are a lot of fantastic resources to help students, and students of any age. So we're talking about our graduating high school students and adult learners in our community. And one of the challenges is people have trouble finding those resources. As part of the focus of KPET, one of the initiatives is how do we help better connect students or prospective learners to the tools that can help them? And all of us can play a role in helping do that. So one specific example, Questa hosts a scholarship search tool. And we started a couple years ago collecting and centralizing financial aid and scholarship information into a database to help students find the financial help that they need to make their education possible. That's the type of thing that as we develop tools like that, and there will be more to come with what we're doing through the KPET initiative, where we can start advocating and sharing those resources with students. Everybody doesn't have to be an expert, but if we know of the tools or how to get to them to the right door, then we can help them connect to the resources that make an impact.
That really ties in with James's message of scaling people, and that seems like a very maybe simple but very tactical solution in terms of having those resources available so that trusted adults and mentors in our next generation leaders' lives can help them scale those next generation. Laura, what about from your standpoint? What can anyone in the community do to support post-secondary education attainment?
I think, Ellen, to that point, always encouraging lifelong learning, and that learning doesn't end when you graduate from high school or you graduate from college or you finish an AWS welding certification or what have you, but that as technology evolves, our need to be lifelong learners evolves alongside of that. And so it's critically important to adopt that kind of spirit and mentality of being a lifelong learner and encouraging that in our youth and in our community today.
So we're here today to talk about Allen County Together, our 10-year economic development strategy. We have several job creation goals within that plan, and one of them is a job creation goal around high-wage, high-quality jobs. How does KPET fit into ACT's goal around this?
I think it's really a critical component of that work. For us to attract those jobs to this community, we have to have the people to fill them. And I don't believe that it's a chicken or an egg situation. I think talent is the driver. And that's exactly why this initiative is so important, and the engagement of stakeholders of all industries, nonprofits, educators, businesses, economic development organizations, all being involved in solution building to help us develop that talent pool that will attract those jobs and attract those businesses.
Well, and earning potential over a lifetime is really correlated, right, with post-secondary education attainment.
It is, and it's something that, as Laura was saying, the importance of that lifelong learning is so critical because your earnings can evolve and your career opportunities evolve as you learn and as you develop new skills and credentials. And so that's the real core message, is to not stop, but that there are opportunities to grow and to get to the next step, and education is often the key to that.
Laura, anything to add on this one?
Well, I think it's an economic development ripple effect, right? So as individuals continue to persist and learn and thrive and grow, then does also their earning abilities. And with that, then they're spending more in our communities and buying, properties and so forth. So it's really critically and fundamentally important to challenge community members to be thinking about it from the lens of the lifelong learner and thinking about how your learning scaffolds. Right.
Okay, so we have a slide here that we're going to pull up, and there's QR code. I would encourage all of you to get out your cell phones and scan this and get some more information about the upcoming KPET Summit. What would you ladies like to share with us about this exciting event coming up?
So as you can see on the slide, it's November 20th. It's an opportunity for people who've been involved in the initiative and anyone who's new to the initiative to be a part of it. What we will do at the summit is share some of the recommendations of the working groups that Laura was describing. It's been a year-long process of using the research and then using the expertise of everyone around the community to figure out how do we move the needle, how do we accelerate talent development in our community. So we'll be announcing some of those strategies as well as some initiatives that are already underway. So we're really excited about it.
Fantastic. Anything to add, Laura, in closing? Nope. Okay. So we hope you come out and support their work on November 20th. Please join me in thanking Laura and Liz for being here with us today.